Hello, everybody, and welcome to Decoding the WSL, the podcast dedicated to the stats and facts in the WSL. Today's episode, we are looking at Man City and a preview of their season, looking ahead at what we think might happen this season, given all the changes that have happened over the summer, and there have been quite a lot. We've got two fantastic guests with me today. I'm Sam Biccarino, and we've got another one of our regulars on the pod with me today. It's Tom Maher. Tom, I feel like I haven't seen you for a while.
Yeah, it's good to be back. I missed the other Manchester club, so at least I got one in. But yeah, I'm all good. How are you, Sam?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. I think the last time I actually saw you, at least on a call, well, obviously we're on a call at the moment, but last time I saw you, I think it was in person at the Euros final.
Yeah, I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah, wow. That was
What day? It wasn't even that long ago, it just feels like a while.
No, yeah.
Alongside myself and Tom, we have someone making their pod debut today, someone that if you are a Manchester City fan, you may recognise the voice. She used to be the voice of Manchester City as well as a presenter at the club. Now focusing more on commentary. You may have even heard her during Arsenal's Champions League run up to the final, especially if you're in the UK listening on TNT alongside Jen Beattie. It's the wonderful Ellard. How are you doing?
I'm good, Sam. I'm good. I've had a little bit of a chaotic day, which resulted in me getting up very early and putting one shoe of one pair on one foot and one shoe of the other pair on another, and only realising when I got off the bus in Birmingham to go and film some EFL bits and bobs there. And it just wasn't ideal. I got off the bus, looked down at my feet, and they're not even remotely the same shoe. And that's what happens. But... No, and I mean, if I didn't work in television, I might have got away with it. But having to then scramble around, including my boss, run into the office and just shout who has women's shoes and can Ellen wear them for a show today. So it's been one of those days. So hopefully we can get through this, and I can come across as some form of authority on the matter.
Did anyone have the shoes that you're asking for, or did you have to style out?
Well, someone had some like what they call their match day shoes. So my boss went and grabbed them. I'm gonna have to call him out now on it. I said, "Whose are they?" And he says, "I don't even know her name." He just went in, grabbed two boots, brought them back. They were sixes, and I've got quite wide feet because I used to compete a lot in athletics, so my feet are quite wide. And I was just like, in my head, like really apologizing as I'm like squeezing my wide feet into these really narrow boots just so I didn't look like an idiot on the television.
At least tonight we can't see your feet, so whatever you're wearing, you'll be safe. There was a little bit of me that was hoping you were going to have like one green trainer and one like bright red heel or something.
Not that bad, but it was one like platform cream trainer and one like bright blue one. And one was like a really expensive Adidas that was like my treat for myself. And the other is my unbranded, like Primark, I guess I can say that on this one. Other clothes shops are available. My other like unbranded one that I wear for these shoots at clubs where I don't tend to wear the shoes of the sponsor. So because I haven't got any Nikes, I was like, I'll just wear these unbranded ones, and rocked up with one Adidas and one Primark shoe. What a day. What a day.
It's a good job you managed to find another pair.
Yeah. Thank you to whoever
Hopefully
that was. Shout out to them.
This will go a bit smoother. This will be your best bit of broadcasting of the day, fingers crossed. Obviously we are talking about Manchester City today, having a look at the season ahead, but first let's have a look at what happened last season. So Manchester City obviously finished fourth in the WSL, just 1 point behind their rivals Man United. Despite finishing fourth, they did have the league's top scorer, or joint top scorer I should say, in Bunny Shaw, although she did get it the same number of goals as Russo in fewer minutes. They also had the league's top assister, Lauren Hemp, with 8, who did that amazingly by only making 10 appearances in the league. In the Cups, they reached the FA Cup semi-final, the Subway Cup final, and the Champions League quarter-final. Obviously, the last two of those coming in quite a short space of time in those 4 games against Chelsea. There was also a bit of managerial change, which I think is where we might start. Obviously, Gareth Taylor started the season, Nick Cushing finished the season, and they've moved on to a new manager now, Andre Jeglerts, I think is how you pronounce the name. Do correct me if I'm wrong. Tom, I'm going to come to you on this first, because obviously he was Denmark manager at the Euros, and it was announced in like the build-up to the Euros. I think it was on the same day or the day before one of Denmark's friendlies. But interesting to see Manchester City bringing in a name like this rather than maybe someone else with WSL experience, do you think?
Yeah, I think this is a really interesting transfer. Managerial change. Not one I saw coming. I'll be honest. I can see the logic in it, like the way that Jurglitz's teams play is very free-flowing, very City Group type style. He's obviously most famous for winning the Champions League with Emir, a Swedish team. That famously was Marta's Champions League win. Marta was his star in that team. He reached two further finals with them that they lost. He's been Damallsvenskan Manager of the Year twice. He's won 4 league titles with Umeå. He went on to become Finland manager. He won Finland's Manager of the Year. He led them to Euro 2013, where they drew 2 and lost 1 in the group stages. And I suppose, he had a foray into men's football and then came back to women's football. And he came back and took charge of Linköping in Sweden. So I kind of feel like his WSL experience comes from that, in the fact, and I know Linköping don't play in the WSL, but they had a lot of WSL players playing for them now. WSL players, I mean. So when he started there, Frida Manen was there, Cornelia Capox was there, Mikato was there, Olga Aitanen was there, and Seore Tekarada was there as well. And he actually signed Yuka Mamiki for them too. So, that he knows the type of player that succeeds in the WSL. But I think this is why it's going to be so important for him to have people with WSL experience, like kind of the senior names like Alex Greenwood, Laura Coombs, and Steph Houghton maybe in the managerial team or in behind the scenes. I think that'll be really important for them. Obviously, you touched on his time at Denmark as well. It was good basically up until that point where it all kind of fell apart, didn't it? With when the City news kind of started developing, and obviously they ended up losing all 3 of their games at the Euros, which was a big disappointment for them. But yeah, I'm intrigued by this one. I think he's got a good track record of developing players as well, which makes sense with a lot of City's young and exciting talent. But yeah, I'm not sold on this appointment, but yeah, we'll see. I think he suits the City Group style of play, so it'll be interesting to see from that perspective.
Yeah, I think I am. There is a little bit of me that is disappointed because earlier in the season, I think once Gareth Taylor initially went and Nick Cushing came in, you made the hot take that you thought Dario Vidosic was going to be the one to take over with his City Group experience. And as soon as you said that, I was like, pieces just fit together in the jigsaw. It makes so much sense. And I was fully on board with it. So I'm a little bit disappointed that it's not, but I'm sure he'll do well at Brighton still. And I'm interested to see how this appointment goes. You mentioned in there as well about needing to keep a hold of some of the senior players. There is only, well, as far as I'm aware, there's only 1 new contract so far, which is Laura Coombs for Manchester City. Ellen, I hear you have a bit of intel around Laura Coombs.
Yeah, well, I think this was one that we were waiting on, but I think speaking to those internally in the club always felt like it would come at some point. We know that she'd been offered some experience to shadow and spend days within some of the analytics departments, and something that happens so often at Manchester City. This will come as a surprise to no one who knows the club and is around the club. Of course, as we've seen with Izzy Christensen, Steph Houghton, who of course you've already mentioned, there's plenty more who stay within the City setup, whether that be initially to talk on some of the shows they do, some of the analytical side of things in terms of bringing player perspective into that. Of course, we've seen that with Karen Bardsley, really launched her presenting career there and has gone on to do so much great things outside, and particularly in the BBC in terms of being able to really chat in length about experiences as a player, and then also as bringing that into then her role previously as part of the academy setup at Manchester City. So I know that Laura was offered those opportunities and did take them. And I wonder whether that is something that she'll move into. It wouldn't surprise me after this 1-year contract extension is up, whether she'll then decide to go into more of that kind of thing. And I think I could see her as a senior player, which is something that City try and hold on to. They try and keep them within the group. I know they do a lot to fund badges, coaching badges for players, not just ones that have recently left, but of course I think we saw Sydney McIver while she was at City still doing some badges. They make sure that if the players are injured, they're going to bring them in and still make sure that they're working and doing stuff around the club. So yeah, wouldn't be surprised if we see Laura take that route after this additional spell at the end of her contract is seen out.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. I mean, she's sort of getting to that part of her career as well. She turns 35 in January, so it'll be kind of the right age. Not necessarily she has to retire because she's 35, but the sort of the right age where players start to get more into what's going to happen after their playing career's over. And yeah, it certainly seems like coaching is the way for her. Let's move on to some of the other squad changes this season. So there's been a few departing players, and although there's not been many in terms of volume, the value that they bring to the squad, I think, is really high. So Chloe Kelly has obviously left permanently now, has gone to Arsenal. Jade Rose has gone to Twente, and Leia Alexandri has moved over to Barcelona. Be interesting to see what happens at Barcelona this season. But that's obviously three quite major players that have left permanently. There's also Amy Oyama, who is on loan at Rosengard still. Obviously hasn't really had an impact yet and she'll be coming back. So, but those three that I've already mentioned, Alexandri, Rode and Kelly. Tom, how much do you think this could kind of rock the boat a bit? Because although they've still got a lot of other quality and they've brought in a lot of quality, which we'll get onto in a moment, I feel like those are three really important players, and that especially Leia Alexandria and Jade Rose could have quite an impact on the squad.
Yeah, I think like you said about Chloe Kelly, I think it was kind of, it just had to happen anyway, really, at this stage. So I don't think that's a huge loss for them. Obviously, her talent's a huge loss for them, but as far as what they were going to be able to get out of her contract dwindling down, it was a no-brainer, really. With Jade Rose and Leia Alexandri, I think it's a little bit different. I was surprised when I heard that Jade Rose was leaving for Twente, because I thought I think she's had quite a good time at Manchester City. I mean, she always performs wherever she goes, really. But then kind of understanding a little bit more about, I think, she has a lot of family involvement at Twente. She wanted to go back home, so that makes a lot of sense. I think we'll move on to it. But I think City have done a good job of kind of looking for replacements for her and finding them, because I think they have a really similarly profiled player who they've brought in. I think Leia Alexandri is an interesting one, because she was one of the players last season where when she plays well, she's one of the best players she's just so good. And when she plays badly, she seems to just stick out like a sore thumb. I feel like there were so many games last year where I think there was definitely a bit of a narrative that she was lost without Alex Greenwood. And I think that was probably best kind of summed up by how well she played when Alex Greenwood came back against Man United at Old Trafford. And so it's a little bit disappointing from perspective of wanting to see Alexandri play well now that Greenwood's back, that she's off. But yeah, I think she's going to be a big miss for them, mainly because she keeps them ticking so much. Her and Yui Hasegawa and Greenwood as well. I think they must be way up there with the highest passes in the league last season, because they really work the ball so well, and her progressive passes must be really high too. So yeah, I think they're all going to be a miss, but I think that City have done quite well so far recruitment-wise, even if they need a few more names to replace them.
Yeah, well, I'll come back to you straight away, because obviously you sort of teased a little bit there that they have basically signed a replacement for Jade Rose. Do you want to just take over?
Yes, yeah. So they've replaced her with Sydney Lohmann from Bayern Munich, who might be familiar to people from this Euros, or maybe she's more familiar from the last Euros where she was sworn at in the final by Jill Scott, which is obviously one of the best moments of football history. Don't need to go into that too much further. She's 25 years old, so she's coming into her prime footballing years, and she's signed a 3-year deal with Manchester City. She was only 16 when she made her Frauen Bundesliga debut. She's won the Frauen Bundesliga 4 times, and the last 3 years in a row with Bayern. When she kind of came on the scene at Bayern, they weren't Germany's dominant force. I think Wolfsburg had won the league 6 of the last 8 years when she first kind of came on the scene, and now that picture's really changed, and Bayern Munich have now won the Bundesliga 6 times, and they'd only won 2 when she made her debut. So, she's really helped them go to the next level. And obviously that's not a dissimilar situation to the one that Manchester City find themselves in at the moment, obviously with probably a lot more competition, not just Chelsea/Wolfsburg. Yeah, and that's first season when they won the league again with her. She had, I think it was 15 goal involvements in 20 matches, and also scored the 1,000th Bundesliga goal. And that Bayern team went on to go 44 league games unbeaten. So, she's used to playing in these teams that really dominate. She's got, like Jill Roord, she can score from distance. And probably my favourite thing about her is her own life goal, or her only life goal, she said, is to make the perfect pizza, which I think we can all kind of relate to.
Yeah, I like that. There's a very comprehensive analysis there. Just ending up with a bit of pizza chat, which who doesn't love? Even someone half Italian, you are definitely appealing to my better side.
Yeah.
Obviously, Sydney Loman's not the only player they've brought in. They have brought people from across the pond as well. Ellen, I'm going to come over to you here because, let's start with Jade Rose coming in, I guess, almost as a replacement for Leah Alexandri, because it seems like they're both relatively similar styles of players. They both like to come forward with the ball. They both like to get the passes in. What more can you tell us about her?
Yeah, absolutely. Coming from Harvard University, and I know that for people who maybe don't watch Canada on a regular basis, they saw that and were like, I saw so many comments being like, Harvard, is this like where we're buying from now? But she's someone who has so much experience at international level already. And I know that, if you look at that move on paper, plenty would say, well, that's quite a risk. But when you watch her, she is so exciting to watch. She made her international debut at 18 in 2021, named Canada's Young Player of the Year in 23. She's just great to watch. I've watched a lot of Canada over the last couple of years and was commentating on them during the Olympics, which was fun times to navigate that. But focusing on what was happening on the pitch, she was excellent. And, she's quite open about the fact that she likes to go forward, very attacking centre-back, which I hope that she's given sort of the freedom to roam with that within reason. I think that the defence for Manchester City next year looks really exciting in terms of what we know they can spark going forward, what we've seen in glimmers, and what I hope we'll see pending, a better season where they're not as injury hit as, the disaster that really was last season. I think there can be some really exciting things. And exactly as you say with Jade Rose, she's a player that fits a very similar profile to Alexandri. And I know that when I was commentating on her during the Olympics, there was quite a lot of links to Manchester United. And so for City to go in and secure her, they've won her over completely. You can hear it when she speaks and when she's been interviewed about how much she loves the idea of coming into the Manchester City setup, particularly about working next to Alex Greenwood. She's spoken a lot about how she really sees her as a role model and how much she's going to learn working next to her, which I think is really great. And, as we've mentioned senior players, I think she's someone who can have a real impact on the squad this year. Alex Greenwood, of course, as we've seen for both England and Manchester City, and the fact that Jade Rose is looking up to her, someone who has so much, talent, raw talent as Jade Rose is looking up to her and going, yeah, this is a setup I want to be in because of the squad around. Maybe, when those conversations were happening initially, the manager wasn't, nailed down, or maybe we saw that from the outside. I know internally it wasn't a surprise appointment and one that had been in the works for a long time when it comes to Andre Eglerts. But yeah, I think it's just great that she's made the trip to Manchester City and wants to come and ply her trade in this part of the world.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what she can bring. Someone else that I think that quite a few listeners will have seen during the Euros is Iman Benn. I think is how you pronounce the name. I'm not very good pronunciation, so very sorry if I get anything wrong. Do feel free to come at me in the comments, etc. But she obviously is Swiss, played at the Euros, and I thought she was a bit of a probably one of Switzerland's better players. I think they had a decent enough tournament. They weren't going necessarily further or less far than I kind of expected from them. But she seemed like a good, young, attacking flair kind of player. Tom, I'm going to come to you on this one because I know that you obviously were quite invested in the Euros, and I know that you'll have been someone that watched Iman Benn closely. So what did you think of her?
I thought she was fantastic. She's so quick, so good with the ball at her feet. Her close control is so impressive. And we didn't really see it at the Euros, but she has an eye for goal as well. She scored 8 times last season to help Young Boys Frauen to their first title in 14 years. So, she's got that ability to get to get a goal at the opposite end of the pitch. Because she was playing kind of a wing-back role, I think, for the most part for Switzerland this summer, which was interesting. And I think Pia Sundhage did a really good job of nurturing kind of young talent, and she was a big part of that. I think you can see how much they think of her in the international scene, that when she was 16, she made her debut, and that was only in 2023, and they wanted to bring her to the World Cup in 2023, but she tore her ACL or ruptured her ACL. So, that's kind of a really big indication of how good this player is. And I'm really excited to watch her play. I really am. I think that I'm really interested to see how she fits in as well, because like in the later moments of Jørgelitz's kind of premiership of Denmark, he was using a kind of back five. So I think Iman Benny's a player that really does suit a back five if she plays at wing back on the wing backs. But yeah, very interested to see how she fits into this City team. And I just hope she gets minutes, because I think if she does, then we could have a really, really exciting talent on our hands, and definitely a young player of the season contender for sure.
100%.
Yeah, it could be, as like you say, if she gets minutes. Ellen, I'll come to you, because I know you put a few notes in the running order. You wanted to speak about this player.
Yeah, I mean, I think she looked excellent at the Euros, and I've been very excited by like the talent that's coming through Switzerland at the minute. Having watched Barcelona, I think I did from the quarterfinals onwards in the Champions League, seeing Sydney Schertenleib absolutely come through and fly, and I think it was a goal against Wolfsburg in the first leg. Just unbelievable. She'd come on, 2 touches, bang! Like, she's
Scary.
such a talent, and so to see then. And you wonder, like I remember saying at the time, I was like, wow, like good job Barcelona going and plucking some young talent out of the top league in Switzerland. I think she'd come from Grasshoppers Zurich. So to then see Manchester City doing the same thing, finding some young talent in leagues that maybe us in England don't watch as often, I think it's a great sign. I think it's a great sign for things going forward. For me, the hope is with Manchester City, which is something that of course we saw with Lauren Hemp. They were great at developing Lauren Hemp, and I think a key part of why Lauren Hemp is still at the club is the support, the development, the attention that she's had from the staff there over the years. But then you look at Lauren Hemp aside, and actually there's plenty of young talent who have come through Manchester City who haven't seen pushed to their potential. Dana Castellanos is one that comes to mind. Ruby Mace, I think, would probably be the poster child for that, in that she was bought at a time where her stock was so high, and under Gareth Taylor we didn't always see her get the opportunities that maybe we felt as either fans or those watching on, pundits, felt like maybe she deserved. So I really hope, like Tom said, that she gets the playing time, because I think if her stats are anything to go by, 8 goals, but that was in 21 appearances. So, she is super exciting. We all saw that. And I think watching, having, been around the City circle for a few years when I was working there, seeing so many notifications, so many tweets, Instagram shares, everything when that first game, and what an opener it was if you're a City fan to see your new signing perform like that, was great to see. And I'm sure, or what I hope is under new management, there's a change of direction. And I know, hearing from a few people who are around the club who have spoken to those in various levels, it is something that City are now putting a huge focus on, is boosting the academy, make sure we're bringing the right talent in, because it is more challenging now because of the Brexit rules. Is we have, as clubs across the WSL, we have to be developing. There's more onus on us developing internally now, which is really interesting, because we can't just bring really talented 14-year-olds over because of, as we've seen, work permit situations. We saw that, of course, with West Ham using the loan system to get points to then bring their players into the country. But it will become more evident, I think, in the next few years with the younger talent, those under the age of 16 who aren't able to come over as they would have done in the past. So I think this is really exciting, and I think it's a signing and a move that City can use to really stamp a new era for the club in terms of pushing youth, developing them properly, and hopefully that trickles down into the academy system there.
Yeah, I think that it's quite an important thing for Manchester City to do, because I know that they're so good at it, both men's and the women's side, of bringing the young players up. It's just, can they then get to that next level and bring them through? And that's really going to be the best way to do it, especially like you say with Brexit rules, which as a football manager player I know are a pain, and I've been struck with them more than once when I haven't realised it was going to happen. I couldn't register a player. And I'm going to come back to you, because that's obviously not all the signings that City have made, and maybe if you're looking at the squad and what sort of positions they might need to strengthen in, two of the positions that I'd probably say they wouldn't necessarily need to are probably goalkeeper and right back. But that's kind of where they've gone, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So Eartha Cummings coming in from Rosengard. That's always one that Scandinavian, I'm sure fans will correct me on that one, and I will get it right before the start of the season, of course. Has come in, and I love that. Like, I'm excited to see her back in the WSL. She's developed so much, really stepped up a level during her time abroad. She's only 26 years old, and I say only 26. I know like there's players in other positions where only would probably be a word that you take away from that, but certainly with goalkeepers, it's a position you can look at, and we see on both the men's and women's side goalkeepers going on for longer into their career than we see the outfield players do. This seems to be a signing from the sort of technical director, I think, at Manchester City, who was, of course, previously the football director at Rosengard, Therese Sjorgen. She actually signed Eartha Cummings in 2023 from Liverpool, and has now then brought her into the City group. And I think this is now a position where we're like, where are the goalkeepers going? Because Manchester City have a lot of goalkeepers now. We're seeing a lot in that position at City. So they haven't been scared in the past to loan players out down to the WSL2. I think that, if you're a City fan, you could probably expect that there will be some announcements about goalkeepers going out on loan. And I think, that's, for me, that's a direction I don't mind clubs going in. I know Chelsea are going down a very similar route in what a lot of people say hoarding goalkeepers. But I think that helps everyone in terms of, you then get a good goalkeeper, you get to send them down to the WSL2. That strengthens WSL2 clubs. If after a loan spell the WSL2 clubs decide they want to buy, then that's a good option. If City, Chelsea, whoever else have, well stacked with goalkeepers, decide actually we want to reshuffle and we want to focus on something else. But personally, I think it's good for the league, and particularly good for WSL2, that there's this option of goalkeepers who are very, very good level dropping down on loan spells. But it is an interesting one for Manchester City of where those players go, what the involvement is. I think Yamashita is an excellent goalkeeper, so it'd be interesting to see how she's utilised in the course of the next year. And of course, Chiara Keating as well, who, such a talented youngster, and someone who I think we deserve as a nation to really get behind and help develop. And I think I'd love to see City really push her to the next levels and guide her as well, as a young player who, has come all the way through City and is someone who lives and breathes the club. So yeah, I am really intrigued to see if when announcements come in terms of goalkeepers. And you mentioned, of course, right backs as well. Laura Wienreuter signing on a permanent deal for 2 years. I think it's one that we were maybe waiting to happen. I know everyone is now looking at the club shop for announcements, which is something that I actually caught onto a couple of years ago, and have been trying to do the opposite way and tipping the club off as to when they made errors in the club shop. So sorry to all of you out there who are loving the club shop announcements, because I'm the one who's running and going, take it down, or have done, obviously, during my time at Manchester City. So I saw that her number went down as a loan and then it's disappeared, and everyone was overthinking it. But yeah, that now confirmed that she will be staying on. And I think in terms of that position, probably strengthened now and don't need to do anything else at right back, with obviously Kasparai, Shimizu as well, who, we can speak about probably as an incoming, because she will make her debut after when she recovers from injury, and of course so devastating that you can sign a player of her talent and then lose her before the season kicks off. So yeah, I would say those positions probably now the ones that are locked down, in terms of maybe not who will start in them, but in terms of we don't need or we can't expect to see any more incomings, I'd say, in those positions for Manchester City.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting thing you say about the goalkeepers and being loaned out to WSL2 and places like that, because for me, I sort of think that you need to have two good keepers when you're at the top level and you're competing in multiple fronts. So I think last season with Yamashita and Chiara Keating, I think they had two really good goalkeepers, sort of two of probably the top 10 in the league, which is what you need. So I was a bit surprised they brought another one in, but we'll have to see what happens. There might be other outgoings that we don't know of yet and things like that. And yeah, like another thing you said, I really enjoyed watching Reece Shimizu when she was at West Ham. I thought she was a really good player, and I thought signing for City at the time anyway, I actually really thought that she was going to sort of go ahead of Kasparai in the pecking order and take that starting spot. But obviously with the injury in pre-season last season, that didn't happen, and Kasparai's had such a good season. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. I think Lara Beamer-Witter will probably be the third choice. She obviously didn't really get a look in last season on her loan. So yeah, it's interesting to see why she's gone to City, because I sort of thought she's leaving Arsenal because I assume Rene doesn't want her in, or not in Rene's plans, but then she doesn't seem to be in City's plans either, although with the new manager, who knows, we'll have to wait and see. Let's have a look ahead to what we think is going to happen this season, how we think they're going to do. Before we get to the sort of overall team performance, let's look at some players and who do we think are going to be the star players this season. Tom, I'll come to you first, because I think everyone's expecting to hear your Bunny Shaw, your Lauren Hemp, Yuri Hasegawa, probably their three best players last season. Do you think it's going to be more of the same, or do you think any other names will prop up?
I think certainly those three. The two I'd add would be Miedema and Greenwood, because if both those can stay fit all season, that's the difference between finishing fourth and challenging for the title, I think. I think those two I'd add. And I think, it's a great point that Ellen makes about the goalkeepers, because I think if we're looking back on a season that City are successful at the end of the season, then I think Yamashita or Keating will have had to be one of the best players for them, because they, probably just one or too many high-profile errors last year from Keating, and we know how good she is, and the same with Yamashita. And if Keating can cut that out of her game and they can have a good season, then we can see the difference that a great keeper makes, like just on those few little differentials, like Van Domselaar for Arsenal and Hannah Hampton for Chelsea, Courtney Brosnan for Everton. These keepers are probably giving those teams a position or two in the league table every season. Maybe not Chelsea, because they can't really get any more positions. But I'd add those two. But I think you could take your pick, really.
Yeah, then there's quite a few. I think the problem with City last year, one of the phrases that I was always I heard a lot growing up, was that the best ability is availability. And obviously a lot of their best players were not available last year, largely due to injuries, which, vast majority of the time you can't really help. I'm sure there is the odd time where a player doesn't take care of themselves properly or something, but the vast majority of the time these players are going through sort of rigorous training and doing all they can to keep themselves healthy, and you just can't help injuries. But there we go. If there are some more injuries this season as well, that might allow a bit more space for more breakthrough stars. We saw a few last season, people like Gracie Pryor getting a lot of pitch time. But this upcoming season, Ellen, who do you think might be the sort of breakthrough stars, the ones that we either haven't seen that much of so far, or are new to the club, or anything like that?
I feel like she's already had a breakthrough, but it lasted probably 90 minutes over the course of a couple of games, of course. It's Naomi Lazer. And I just think she's excellent. What we saw, that glimmer, was just superb against Barcelona. That was one of the last games. I don't think it was exactly the last game I stadium announced at, but I think it might have been the second last. And I was like, what a way to go out, in terms of, for me, of course, not anyone else. Yeah. So going out, come on girls, give us something. 6 league appearances last season, 4 Women's Champions League appearances, and that goal against Barcelona, which was just incredible. And of course those Champions League appearances, including all the pre-qualifying stuff, that they don't have to worry about this year. They can just focus on the domestic side of things. She's, of course, a very good centre-back, but she wasn't playing in that position during the Barcelona game. So she's someone who provides versatility to the back line. And I think that's something that's quite exciting. I think looking at the injuries that Manchester City had last season to the back line, and of course Lazer included in that. Yeah, so I think for Manchester City, I think it's really exciting. They have depth in the centre-back position, which hasn't always been there at this sort of level and this strength, and also the experience as well. And for Lazer, she'll obviously have one eye on pursuing for a senior cap for England. And I think that's something that, of course, we all believe, whether you're a City fan or not. If you're an England fan, that's something that could be very useful, is having someone of her versatility in the back line, someone with plenty of youth, wants to run, can spark attacks that's something that's so key to the Manchester City backline before, and then also under the new manager will be sparking those attacks and pushing the team forward. And she's someone who brings that in abundance. So would definitely say her alongside, of course, some of the new names we've mentioned. I'm a massive fan of Iman Benny, and I'm so excited to see what she can do, because I think her, Jess Park, I know watching the academy train the other week, there's a couple of young players that will just run and run and run, low centre of gravity, zip around, glide around the pitch. And I just really hope they're given the opportunity this year.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see a bit of rotation, especially in the cup competitions. It'd be a little bit harder now that they haven't got the Champions League alongside it, but pardon me, I imagine they'll still want to rotate a bit throughout the League Cup and the FA Cup. I think it's really interesting how much you spoke about Lazer there, because a couple of years ago when she finished up at in that relegation season at Bristol City, before we'd heard any of the rumours of her going to Man City, I was adamant that some WSL club was going to snap her up because she was just too good to play in WSL 2 or Championship as it was then. I think in that season she was sort of really high for clearances, interceptions, those sort of flat out defensive metrics. And I think for when you're looking forward to England, if she ends up playing in that sort of centre back role, if she does make it that far, she, for me, is almost that kind of more physical player at the back. It's a bit like Millie Bright has been, a bit more like Jess Carter has been. So she's, it's not like she can't pass the ball, but she's really good at the defensive side, which you could then play alongside someone like a Greenwood or a Williamson, who is much better at the distribution. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if she actually gets any minutes alongside Greenwood, or, at this rate, they might get both shoved out to left and right back, and then who knows what's going to happen. Let's move on to where we think the team are going to finish generally this season. So we'll hear from you both as well, but I'll go first. I think they will probably get third in the league this season. I don't think anyone's got enough to get close to Chelsea and Arsenal. I think it's going to be a 2-horse race for the title. But I do think that City will leapfrog Man United this season. I think Man United will probably finish fourth, City third. I think that's largely because of the lack of Champions League at the start, which Man United might hit, and the fact that generally Man United's squad is quite thin. Plus the fact that City, if they didn't have all the injuries last season, I think wouldn't have been close to finishing fourth. They'd have been a comfortable third. So, if Bunny Shaw doesn't miss half a season, if Lauren Hemp doesn't miss half the season, and players like that keep fit, I think they're going to be absolutely fine to be in third place. And if they can be more comfortable in third place, maybe they can be a bit stronger in the cup competitions and go a bit weaker in the league. So I don't know if it's going to be FA Cup or League Cup, but I can see them going quite far in at least one of them, maybe even get to a final and potentially even a win, which will be, a big deal for a manager in their first season. Tom, I'll come to you first. How do you think Man City's season is going to go?
Yeah, I think I tend to agree with what you've said, really. I would have said third as well. I think they'll make the Champions League qualification for next year. And I think that should probably be their aim this year, as well as probably picking up a cup if they can. I think it's I suppose when you're Manchester City and you have the players that they have, the title should be the aim. But given last year was ended up being a disaster after a great start. I think they were first after 7 games, and then just kind of it all fell apart. I think it'll help not being in the Champions League, and I know that they still play games in the League Cup, but it's only 3 games before you have, United might have played, I think they might have played 10 games in the Champions League by the time the League Cup quarterfinal comes around, and it's only 3 games for City by that stage. So that's a lot of matches. And I think their group's quite favourable as well. They got 2 Championship sides in Forest and Newcastle, and Everton as well. I'm not sure if Manchester United go out in the qualifiers if they join that group. Potentially they do, but we'll see on that front. A few of their key players as well haven't had a major tournament to contend with this summer, like Shaw, like Hasegawa, like Fujino. I can see them finishing 3rd, and I think, I'm looking forward to seeing their new number 9, number 10, Shaw and Miedemar having a proper run in the team together, because I think that is absolutely terrifying for defences if those 2 are fit and firing. And I'd be really excited to see how they do together.
Yeah, I think both of them together was something we didn't really see last season. I think when they signed Miedemar, I was a bit in my head, and I say in my head, I think I said this out loud / on social media as well. I was sort of like, this is a bit of a joke. Probably at the time, the 2 best finishers in the league, maybe even still the 2 best finishers in the league in the same squad at the same time. It's going to be a lethal, like 10 and a 9 or a front 2, however it's going to work. It just didn't really quite click. It didn't really happen. Didn't really get the opportunities. But maybe this season will be the one. Ellen, how about you? How do you think City's season's going to go?
I mean, this is going to sound very samey, isn't it? But I think 3rd as well. I don't think I really need to expand on that, because you guys have done an excellent job of it. What I would say is, I think exactly as Tom said, and you as well, Sam, is that they need a cup run deep into either of the cup competitions, and I would say a final as a minimum. I think they have to take advantage of the fact that they have squad to rotate and use that to the best of their ability. And I don't think that necessarily in the WSL always, and in obviously the League Cup and the FA Cup, as much as, we just got through a whole horde of Carabao Cup fixtures on the men's side, and there's very clearly for a lot of teams a EFL Cup side, a EFL Trophy side, a league side. I think that doesn't really look the same in the WSL, because there is still such a gap between the top and the bottom, and of course at this stage, as you mentioned, with some teams having very thin squads. So I think a cup run deep into the competition, I'd like to see a mix of squads in that, not just like there's a WSL squad and a League Cup and an FA Cup squad. I'd love to see rotation sort of across the 2, and I think that would really do the players justice as well, in terms of what maybe we haven't necessarily seen from City over the course of the last couple of years. Definitely cup final as a minimum. I think that is what the fans will be expecting, and with all the work that they put in to trek up and down the country for early and late kickoffs, I think they deserve that, and I think the players will want to give them that.
Yeah, fingers crossed for their sake it's going to be a successful season, because I think after a season where you're finishing outside the Champions League places and don't get any silverware, it'll be a bit of a crushing blow to go through that kind of thing again. So for the sake of City, hopefully for them it'll be a little bit better. Okay, let's move on to Fantasy WSL. So I think, probably by the time this goes out, we're recording on Thursday the 14th of August at the moment. By the time this goes out, I think most of the pricing will be out for Fantasy WSL this year, although not called Fantasy WSL anymore. They have rebranded to Aerial Fantasy. But some of the pricing is out already. I think the app gets updated this weekend to stop being Euros and move on to Aerial Fantasy for the WSL season. So let's have a little bit of a look about who's going to be sort of must-have players this season. I know that last season there were some really high-scoring players in the games they played, but not necessarily many City players that got loads of points throughout the season, because they chopped and changed their side quite a lot, largely due to injuries, but partly just due to rotation. So I was actually having a look at who I'm going to probably put in. It depends a bit on how much people are overall and stuff. I haven't worked it out properly, but City have obviously got Chelsea away in their first fixture, so that's not really a favourable one. It's probably the worst fixture to have all season. So my tactic is going to be to only have one City player in the first week and probably put two in after that, because after that they've got Brighton at home, followed by Spurs and London City Lionesses, which I think are probably going to be, you would hope as a City fan, 3 wins. So I think to start with, I'm probably, depending on the budget I've got and how much the players are, probably someone like Bunny Shaw or Kirsten Kasperai to start, and then we'll go from there. But Tom, how about you? Who's your sort of like key picks for City this season?
Yeah, I think you've certainly Shaw. You can't look past her. I think Miedema is an interesting one as well, and obviously if Lauren Hemp can stay fit, her assisting ability is so good. I think it depends on what her price is, but if Rebecca Kanak is anything like the price she was last year, then I think she's a steal, because if she starts at the back, I suppose that's the main thing. If she starts at the back, she's such a dangerous defender from set pieces. So if she gets the opportunity, which I suppose she is a rotation risk, I think she could be a really fun player to have in your team, because she surprised a lot of people with the amount of goals she got. I think she got 4 after January.
Yeah, she got 4 from 0.8 XG last season, so really overachieved.
Yeah, so an overachiever, who doesn't want them in your fantasy team?
I think my worry with Knack would be whether she can continue to overachieve, because 4 goals from 0.8 is really good. And I think they were all headers as well. I do think she's a great player, though. I did a piece a month or 2 ago of recommended recruits on YouTube. Go check it out if you haven't already, for Arsenal. Obviously, it's a little bit out of date now, but one of the positions I said Arsenal needed was a decent left-footed, quite tall, good in the air centre-back that can also do some distribution. And Rebecca Clark was my number 1 pick for that, because she's also not got that long on her contract either. She still could be a good pick. And I'll come to you next for visionary picks. So listen, if you don't know, visionary pick is anyone that is selected by fewer than 2% of the total players in the game. So if they then get a return, so a goal, assist, clean sheet, etc., you get extra points for it. My only one really for this, I was sort of, I'll be honest, in a rush doing this because I didn't have much time the other night when I was putting this together, was Alba Fugino, because she was a visionary for a lot of last season, ended up with 1 goal and 5 assists. So when she did play, she was really cheap as well. I think it was just because she's a forward, people didn't want to take Bunny Shaw out. They didn't want to take Alessia Russo out. They didn't want to take Mara Ramirez out, those sort of players. But she could be a really good option. But is there anyone else? I guess it's a little bit similar to the breakthrough stars, but someone that you think people wouldn't necessarily pick in their team, but could be a good option if they're going to get some minutes?
I totally agree with you with Fugino. She's a great shout, and I hope that she continues what she did last season again this season, because she was great to watch. She's fun. I think she's really settled into City. Always plays with a massive smile on her face, and it's just a joy to watch. And is very just unselfish, as you can see from her assist returns there. I'd say exactly as I have done in the breakthrough, as you mentioned there, Sam, in Benny. If she can get subbed on, I think she could be a real impact. And I just look at her run and run and run like she did at the Euros. That spark, those, fresh legs, and like a really, she looks so driven. She looks so focused. I was watching her in open training the other week, and she was just like darting around everywhere, and she just looked so happy to be there. So I think in a similar way that we saw Jess Park operate, and maybe even Mary Fowler before we saw Fowler move into a starting position for City, I think Iman Benny could be the next one to do that. And I think we could see good returns come where other teams who City are up against are really tiring at the end, and then you see this 19-year-old come on and start fizzing around your defence, you're going to have concerns. So she would be one for me, alongside, of course, as we've already mentioned and spoken about at length, on the other side of the pitch, Naomi Lazer, who, for me, I can't claim to be any form of authority on fantasy WSL, because I have just pushed all fantasy games so far out of my life into, just because I'm like so having to focus on one game at a time usually. But for me, knowing and having been explained the visionary concept, I would say those two.
Yeah, I think they're both quite good picks, and I think as someone that's obviously a commentator needs to remain pretty impartial while you're commentating. It's probably a good thing that you don't play the game, so you're not
Yeah.
screaming out for someone to get a goal that
You never know. It might make me
one
more
specific player of the pitch.
impartial if I have one. Can I do a draft? Can I have one from each team? That would make me super impartial, I guess.
Yeah,
Have I
if you've
just
got
solved
like
all impartiality problems with commentators? Just like all of us have to we have to get together and do a draft. Does anyone want to organise a commentator
you need
draft, and I'll get
you need
everyone
like Bunny
together?
Shaw and the opposition's keeper on the same team,
Yeah,
and then
every week.
you'll be celebrating whatever's happening.
I'll be celebrating. My team will be crashing, and I won't be very good, but I'll be happy. And I guess that's all that matters, maybe.
That's the main thing. That is the main thing. I assume once the app goes live, I'll need to speak to Izzy, one of the other regulars on the pod. You probably know this now, but we will set up a Decoding the WSL League on Aerial Fantasy. So do make sure you join that, because we'll have, well, myself, Tom, Jacob, Izzy, and probably quite a few of the guests that you've heard over the summer will be on there, and can be your chance to come and beat us. I think we had just over 200 of us last year. So yeah, maybe even more this year. We'll see. Let's move on to a different kind of game. It is the Decoding the WSL podcast game. It is Know Your Stat. So if you're new here, Know Your Stat is essentially a game of categories. I'm going to give Tom and Ellen a category one at a time, and they're going to take it in turns naming something from that category. If they take too long, if they give an incorrect answer, or if they repeat an answer, they will be out. You have to give more correct answers than your opponent to win or complete the question. Ellen, as you are the newbie here, I'll let you pick which round we do first, as well as going first. So would you like the round about appearances? Would you like the round about goal involvements, or the round about starting 11s?
Am I going to get penalised for taking too long to think about what I want to answer for this but very basic question? Could that be a problem?
I don't think you get penalised. You just won't make very good content.
Yeah, not on the. This is, as someone who started working in radio at age 14, maybe I should have realised that. Okay, let's go for the first one. Let's go appearances.
Appearances, cool. We're going to go through all of them anyway, so it doesn't matter which one you do first. Okay, so for this round, I would like you, Ellen, you're going to go first, and I would like you to name me the 19 players that completed at least 3 full matches in the WSL last season. So that is, a full match is obviously one where they start the game and finish the game. There were 19 players that did so at least 3 times for Man City in the WSL last season. Ellen, to go first.
Kirsten Kasparai, please.
Yes, correct answer. She was number 1, 19.
Kiara Keating.
Kiara Keating was on 12, correct answer.
Can I have Rebecca Kanak?
You can. She only had 5 full 90s, but correct answer nonetheless.
Can I get Yamashita, please?
Yamashita, you can. She had 10.
Sorry, I forgot that was me then. I was just waiting for someone else to go. Can I have Yui Hasegawa, please?
You can. She was second with 18.
Could I go for Lauren Hemp?
Lauren Hemp, someone that has been out for so much of last season, did make 4 complete games. So she is a correct answer.
Oh, this is
13 still to go.
Out. 13 to go. 13 players. Yeah. Oof. Can I say... Oh, I'm going to go Greenwood.
Alex Greenwood did it 10 times. Correct answer.
Lovely.
Could I go for Mary Fowler?
Oh,
Mary Fowler is a correct answer with 8.
Can I have Naomi Lazer?
Naomi Lazer was on 4.
Oh, that's a great answer. Bloody hell.
It is.
I knew I was going to be in trouble coming up against the commentator. Could I go Aboa Fagino?
Ugh.
You can. She had 7 full matches. Correct answer.
Can I just check how many we have left? Because I've lost count of that.
You have 9 left. Also, there's
9
2 of the
players
top
left.
5. 2 of the top 5 have not been said yet.
Laura Coombs.
Laura Coombs had exactly 3. That makes the cut.
Could I go Jill Rudd?
Oh,
Jill Rudd had 9.
Sorry, how many left is that? I'm such an idiot.
7 left.
7. Okay. Can I have Laura Blinkila Brown?
You cannot have Laura Blinkila Brown. She only played 1 full game last season. So Tom still needs to give a correct answer here to take the round.
I've got 2 in my head, but
You can only give me 1.
Khadija Shaw.
Khadija Bunny Shaw had 5, so is the correct answer, and Tom takes round 1.
Whew.
I don't know why I didn't go for Lyra Alessandru.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, neither of you went for her. She had 15.
With Miedema,
Or Leila Wahhabi.
Third best answer. Leila Wahhabi was on 14, was the 4th best answer. The other correct answers you could have had were Alana Kennedy, Gracie Pryor, Jess Park, and Carolyn. They were the only ones. Viv Miedema and Lara Wienreuter were the next most, but both incorrect answers with 2
Oh my
each.
gosh. That was the 2 I was
might have
thinking
a
of.
cry now,
Shaw
to be honest.
and
I might
Miedema.
have a big old cry.
I can't believe
very
neither of you said
congested.
Alexandria or Wahhabi.
I know, I can't believe. I was just thinking that now. I was like, I don't know why I went for Blinkila Brown over those 2. But we
The
move.
first round goes to Tom.
It's the pressure.
Tom, you've got the option of picking the next round. Would you like the one about goal involvements or starting 11s?
Could I go with goal involvements, please?
Goal involvements, you can. So you may remember last season that Chelsea and City had 4 matches in a row against each other. I would like you to tell me any player from either team that scored or assisted in any of those 4 games. There are 13 players in total, and own goals do not count. And Tom to go first.
I'm going to start with Viv Miedema.
Viv Miedema is correct. She had 2.
Mary Fowler.
Mary Fowler is an incorrect answer, unfortunately, Ellen. So that is a very quick second round to Tom.
Great.
And that is the match to Tom as well, winning 2 of the 3. Well done.
Okay.
I will give you the players that you could have had, which were, to be fair, Mary Fowler scored a lot of goals last season, got a lot of assists. So it's not a bad shout. The players that you could have had were Aggie Beaver-Jones, Alba Fagino, Ashley Lawrence, Bunny Shaw, Erin Cuthbert, Johanna Ritten-Conrad, Carolyn, Lauren James, Mara Ramirez, Natalie Bjorn, Sondi Baltimore, obviously getting 2 in the FA Cup final, and Yui Hasegawa.
Do you know what? I just didn't even think to go for Chelsea players. Shot myself in the foot, didn't I?
It's not that true.
We'll play the third round. We'll play the third round anyway, and you might think to go for some Chelsea players in this one, because this is, again, Chelsea and Man City based. So last season, the opening match of this season is Chelsea at home to Man City. Okay. I would like you to tell me the starting 11s from Chelsea at home to Man City last season, which was in November, if that helps. Ellen to go first. So any of the starting 11 players from either side.
Ritten-Conrad.
Ritten-Conrad is correct.
Alex Greenwood.
Alex Greenwood is also correct.
Yui Hasegawa.
Yeah, also correct.
Bunny Shaw.
Bunny Shaw is a correct answer. She was fit at that time.
Hannah Hampton.
Hannah Hampton is a safe bet. Correct answer.
Thank you.
Yeah, the Man City keeper's less safe, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's basically a
I'm trying
50-50 because it was
trying
around
to-
that time that they changed over, I think.
I'm trying to remember. Kirsten Kasperai.
Kasperai, yeah, most full 90s last season. She is in that starting lineup as well.
Myra Ramirez.
Myra Ramirez did indeed start.
I've also just
Sandy-
realised I haven't been keeping note, and this is not a good idea. I've learned from listening to the podcast
You get
before
a
that this
repeat
is
now.
not. I keep shooting myself in the foot with this game.
Go on, Tom.
Sandy Baltimore.
Yeah, she is the correct answer. Started at left back.
Shoka Nuskin.
Nuskin did indeed play in midfield, one of her many positions.
Millie Bright.
Millie Bright was at the back for Chelsea, sorry.
Oof. What a transfer.
That one quiet.
Yeah, wow.
Considering I left out absent in the first round, can I have Wahhabi, please?
You can indeed. That's the correct answer.
Go Lucy Bronze.
Lucy Bronze is also correct. So you've got 7 of the Chelsea players now and 5 of the City players.
Guru Wrighton.
Guru Wrighton is correct.
I was thinking of Guru. I couldn't remember if she came off the bench and scored or if she actually started. Yeah. Could I go? Jill Roord.
Jill Roord is a correct answer. A lot of thought went into that one, but it's paid off. Back to Ellen.
Can I have in front of her Mary Fowler?
You can have Mary Fowler. Over to Tom.
Erin Cuthbert.
Erin Cuthbert is also a correct answer. That's the Chelsea midfield pretty much done. So you've got 2 Chelsea players left
so got one
and
more.
4 City players.
Jess Park.
Jess Park did start.
I cannot remember whether she was fit or not. I've got a few. City have really this is the final revenge of City's injured players, isn't it? Against us.
But Tom, if you don't give me a correct answer, you've lost the round.
Oh my gosh!
Ellen went
Thanks for
first.
telling me that, Sam. That's not.
Just put part of the pressure on.
I literally gifted you the game, Tom. So come on, give us something.
At least you can do is give a round back.
Maybe it's time to roll the dice on the goalkeeper. Go on. I'm going to go Yamashita.
Yamashita started that game. It's correct answer.
You've got
2 Chelsea players and 2 players left. I was not expecting you to get 18 players between you. You're doing very well. Ellen, back to you.
The problem is because I didn't keep a list. I'm stressed.
I did. You want me to read it out?
No, don't. When I was begging for your assistance, that was very much a joke, and I think this would be the uttermost. This would absolutely be the downfall of my career before it's even started. Is if you read me a list and I fill in the gaps. As kind as that is, I've already taken one massive L. So let's go. November, Chelsea, City. I would say that at that point, the centre half would have been Alana Kennedy.
Alana Kennedy is a correct answer.
Sensational.
Back to Tom.
Sensational. I think I'm not sure. I
don't think anyone's sure at this point, Tom.
I think I have one more, and then I'm just taking punts after that.
You haven't been taking punts for like 10 guesses.
No. I have been taking punts, but these have been very like calculated. These have been like really thought through.
Okay, Lauren James.
Lauren James was not even on the bench. Incorrect answer, and Ellen takes the round.
Oh, I needed something, honestly.
There weren't many answers that you could have had that you didn't get. So the ones that you could have had were Natalie Bjorn and Maika Kamano were the two Chelsea players. And then Alba Fugino was the last City player. So you did really well. And I was not expecting you to get more than... Between you got more than the other two rounds combined on that one. And I thought that was going to be the hardest round. So well done.
That was because I literally sank the second round after. We got one on the second round. So the bar was so low, Sam. The data has been manipulated here.
Ellen, I once answered a question on Know Your Stat that it had 0. Like it was like progressive passes, wasn't it? And I said Hannah Hampton, and she had 0. She hadn't had 1. Amazing. So
it was something like that.
You got some going to go if you want most embarrassing moment on Know Your Stat.
I can safely say I didn't work any of those games, and that was what I remember being in an absolutely insane spell of Champions League games during that point, and my attention was anywhere but Manchester City against Chelsea because those games were being played so frequently that I think I just parked it and thought, let me focus on Wolfsburg, Barca, Lyon and Bayern Munich, and didn't think about anything else. So...
Probably for the best. Well, you'd be pleased to know that you didn't get whitewashed at least. There have been 3 whitewashes in Know Your Stat so far, but not today. But Tom, well done on your victory. I will say, I didn't tell you this beforehand, but Jacob went to the top of the leaderboard after our Manchester United episode with his win, but you have now gone back ahead of him. So you've taken top spot. So well done. Jacob's also away on holiday for a couple of weeks, so you've got time to, on another few episodes, get a bit further ahead of him. Although Izzy will be hot on your tail.
I feel like this is like when a team gets kicked out of the FA Cup and you then follow the team that's won. I'm now rooting for Tom, so you've got to do it for both of us now, Tom.
Okay, I will. Don't worry, I got you.
I think the next episode we're recording is Sunday, the Brighton podcast, which will be me, Tom, and 2 from the She Girls podcast. So Tom's going to have even more experts to go up against and see what he can do on the next pod.
You got this, pal. Go on. I believe in you.
Thank you.
But yeah, well done, Tom. And thank you, listener, for being with us today. That is your Man City preview of the season ahead. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much, Tom. Thank you, Ellen. Ellen, I hope you enjoyed your debut.
Thank you. Yeah, it was great fun. I'll try and calm down the competitive nature if you have me back, I will be better behaved in terms of my competitiveness. I find it very hard to let it go.
Of course, we'd love to have you back on. Well, I think some points, obviously we didn't really do it this year because we had the Euros, but at some points, maybe over Christmas or next summer or something when it's a bit quieter, we're thinking of just doing some Just Know Your Stat episodes. So, yeah, if not before, I'm assuming you'll be wanting to get back on phone.
Don't turn it down, Ellen. Don't turn it down. We need that competition. It's a fiery league, the Know Your Stat league.
It is. It's tight at the top as well. But no, thank you very much for coming on. Thank you, Tom, as well. Obviously, I'll see you later in the week for our next episode, which will be Brighton. Thank you, listener, for being with us today. If you don't already, make sure to follow, subscribe, all that good stuff, wherever you get your podcasts, and follow at Decoding the WSL on Instagram. Yeah, also check out the YouTube channel if you're not already there. All of our podcasts are on YouTube, as well as the Recommended Recruit series that I mentioned earlier. There's an episode for Arsenal, as well as an episode for Manchester United, which, as they thankfully haven't made any signings really this summer, other than one, is still quite apt. But yeah, that's all for today. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you at the next one.